Kamala Harris is from California. She's a senator. She never meets with Republicans. And in fact, this is someone who essentially Obama had picked her to run. Obama and his team had picked her to run. And then she floundered. She fell flat. She was going to get last place in Iowa and New Hampshire in the early primaries. So she quickly dropped out after burning up tens of millions of dollars. And then, the story that is not being told to the American people is that Bernie Sanders was in the pole position and he was going to win. And Obama and his team knew that Sanders, as an outright socialist, that he would lose. And so what they did is they propped up Biden, who appears to be nothing more than just an avatar, and then they plugged in their apparatchik.
That was California Congressman Devin Nunes on this program back in September, right before the election. The ranking member on the House Intel Committee, Congressman Devin Nunes, joins me right now. He is the author of Countdown to Socialism. And Congressman, it's great to see you this morning. Let me ask you about that soundbite we just played. Do you still see it that way?
I think more so now than ever. I think the American people now see it too, Maria. You have an election here where just a few counties in the United States of America and the big cities that are all run by Democrats and the left, and the state of California, which is under one-party control, they essentially elected a guy who ran the first campaign ever out of a basement. So, when you go back in history, we don't have to go back very far. This is very reminiscent of the old Soviet Union, where they just take these old decrepit leaders, they put them up there, and they'd have the people underneath, the Politburo, that would actually run their leaders. And so, look, I'm not saying that we all know that the coronavirus is very contagious, but what's Biden going to do about it? He's promising to do what? We're going to wear masks for 100 days? And so, the thing that you have here is that we have to start talking some common sense in this country. Why is it in Republican states and Republican cities that for the most part people are social distancing, they're being careful, but everything's open. People are trying to go about their life. They're being careful. They're getting therapeutic treatment. Now we have a vaccine ready. But yet you have big cities in this country. The whole state of California is completely shut down now. And then, like right here in D.C., let me give you a ridiculous example. Right now, we're open, but now the mayor has said that in Washington, D.C., we're going to close everything on December 23rd because of the spread of COVID. Now, wait a second. If COVID's spreading so rapidly, you ought to shut the whole damn city down right now. Why would you wait for a week to shut it down? So I don't know what Biden and Harris's plan is to unbury these cities that the Democrats are destroying. But we're going to have a situation where the people who make things in this country, and most of the counties around this country who grow things, have energy, and keep the country going, those areas are doing pretty well. And you're going to have these cities that are completely dead, and they're going to expect a bailout. And I don't think the Republican Senate will do that.
And you all are there right now to try to get this COVID relief bill done. Look, I spoke with Bob Nardelli, who is one of my regular guests on Fox Business Mornings with Maria. And the other day he said to me, after speaking with a number of small business owners, he said, what small business wants right now is not PPP, but GDP. They want economic growth. They want to get back to business, and they want to start working once again. And we're looking at shutdowns across the country. People are worried about changes in policy about that, as well as a change in policy on China. Any thoughts on that? Because I want to quickly get to a break and then come back and look at these damning text messages. But your thoughts on how policy may change with a new administration?
Well, look, I think the big issue here is that what are the Biden family's involvement with China? We know now this was ignored by the media. It was ignored, and it was blocked by the social media companies too, for that matter. But look, everything that the Democrats and the media accused Trump and Republicans of doing, they were doing. They took money from Russian oligarchs. They're in bed with Chinese. None of this has been answered for. So, I think we really need a special prosecutor to go after this, because we know that the FBI and DOJ, they never go after Democrats. They only go after Republicans. All the Democrats' controversies always get swept under the rug, and nothing ever happens.
Unbelievable. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, I want to zero in on these text messages, because you believe these text messages that were declassified indicate when actually the FBI started investigating Donald Trump. We'll take a break and come back on that and talk about John Durham and what you're expecting. Congressman Devin Nunes is with us this morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and we are back with Congressman Devin Nunes, ranking Republican on the House Intel Committee. Congressman, let's go through some of these text messages from Peter Strzok and what you take away from them. And the first one I want to take a look at is one about Crossfire Hurricane. 3 days before it was apparently opened, based on Papadopoulos information, he tells Lisa Page, his girlfriend, he wants to discuss opening a counterintelligence investigations relating to Trump's Russian connections. What's the significance?
Well, look, I think overall here, these are kind of the text messages that we've all been waiting for, that we knew probably existed, that give the hard evidence that our investigation really needed several years ago. So I've made the statement on your show and many others publicly over the last few years that we know the FBI was lying to Congress because we knew that they did not open this investigation because of Papadopoulos, and then they opened it on July 31st. That was always nonsense. There was plenty of evidence of that. And here we have a text message that was clearly relevant to our investigation that they hid from us. And look, I would also say it's now clear that Papadopoulos was so mistreated. It's just unbelievable. They're actually, I mean, the FBI and DOJ in this country ought to be ashamed of themselves, mocking a target that they knew was a phony target. They're making fun of Papadopoulos. This is really, really bad, and somebody needs to pay a price for it.
Well, let me ask you about this Yahoo story, because another thing that they did, which you've reported on this program for years, is they leaked information to the media, and then they used those articles as reason to get a wiretap. And here's one of them. Peter Strzok says to Lisa Page, I'm looking at the Yahoo article. I would definitely say at a minimum, Steele's reports should be viewed as intended to influence as well as to inform. That was their whole point, right?
Right. And look, remember when I put out, and the media largely ignored a report that there had been FISA abuse? They knew that we were investigating FISA abuse. Why would this not have been given to Congress? This is just another example. We're going to have to do another criminal referral. Look, we knew they had made this up. They had to have known. They had to be working with the DNC and the Clinton campaign. But this clearly shows they were witting. It's a hard piece of evidence that we didn't have. And look, there's so many of these, every one of these text messages is explosive. And there's a lot more in these text messages that we're continuing, our investigative team is continuing to comb through. And I think we're going to find a lot more here in the coming weeks as we begin to piece together old information that we have with new information. I'm just hopeful that Durham's actually going to do something, and we got to ensure that Durham is not going to be fired by the incoming Biden administration, because we know what the Democrats have been willing to do in the past in terms of meddling with elections, like, for example, tarmac meetings in Phoenix, for example.
Well, that's right. On the tarmac in Phoenix, it was just a few days before Hillary Clinton was to go for an interview in front of the FBI, where she was going to be questioned about her use of a private server. And
right.
3 days earlier, Bill Clinton, her husband, meets with a sitting attorney general, Loretta Lynch, on a tarmac in a private plane. And they say they talked about their grandkids. I mean, it's just outrageous. And Congressman, I think you just broke news on this program. You said that you're going to do another criminal referral.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, this is clearly lying and obstructing Congress. This is information that we asked for numerous times. I mean, we sat in meetings with Trey Gowdy, who's been on your show numerous times. We sat in meetings with DOJ and FBI, and they sat there and stone cold said, oh, there's no more information. There's no more text messages. These were the text messages that we really needed to run a proper investigation. Instead, we had to go around, we had to rely on informants, we had to piece all this together in order to get this out to the American people that, hey, Trump campaign and Republicans were not only spied on, but this was wrong. And I think in the big picture, as the smoke begins to clear, what you're really going to see, the Russia hoax was mostly about covering up Hillary Clinton's emails that were clearly classified and that were spread out all over the world. Likely all of our adversaries had them. And I think they develop this hoax, to hide it from the American people in the 2016 campaign. Just the impossible happened, and that is that Donald Trump won, and then luckily we were able to uncover this and expose it. I just hope that people pay the price for it.
That's unbelievable. So you do expect John Durham to come out with a report and continue this investigation?
Well, look, I don't see how John Durham can't bust several people for lying and misleading Congress. At a minimum, there ought to be several indictments on that. In terms of the larger picture, conspiracy, that some of the referrals we've made, it's harder to prove, but I do believe that they ought to pay a price and they ought to be put in jail. Look, if not, who's going to trust the Department of Justice and the FBI? I mean, I don't think too many Republicans are. The 70+ million people that voted for Donald Trump, I think they're going to take a meeting with the FBI after we know how they just framed Papadopoulos in these text messages that we see today?
And framed Michael Flynn, don't forget about that. Real quick before you go, Congressman, is there anything you can tell us about the Russia hack? Because this is another instance where I know it's an ongoing investigation. Do we know how many agencies they breached?
No, look, at this point, we just had an initial briefing, initial information, but I think it's just more evidence that the cyber capabilities of our adversaries continue to grow, whether it's Russia, it's China, Iran, North Korea. These capabilities grow, and we are very vulnerable as a government and as a nation you know, to hacking.
And our audience knew the threat of China way early because of you, Congressman. You came on this program 4 years ago with your investigation into the Chinese Communist Party as they were moving their military bases across the world. Thank you for that, educating our audience so long ago on this threat. Congressman Devin Nunes, good to see you, sir. We'll see you soon.